Jake Miller was a 27-year-old mechanic in a small Texas town, known for his hard-working nature and quiet personality. His garage was filled with the smell of oil and the clanging of tools, a place where he spent most of his days. Life wasn't glamorous for him, but he found comfort in fixing broken things. One rainy evening, while closing up his shop, Jake noticed a young woman on the sidewalk. She was struggling to push her wheelchair through the pouring rain, her hands slipping, her face pale with exhaustion. Without hesitation, Jake rushed to her side to help. The woman's name was Emily Carter, just 25 years old. She had once been vibrant and full of life until a car accident left her paralyzed from the waist down. Since then, every day had been a battle. Most people either pitied her or avoided her altogether, but that night was different. Jake didn't see her as helpless. He saw a person who needed a hand. Gently he pushed her home, his jacket soaked, but his voice calm and kind. Emily looked at him in surprise. It had been a long time since someone treated her with such respect. Over the next few days, Jake couldn't get Emily out of his mind. He found excuses to pass by her apartment building, sometimes leaving small repairs for her chair outside her door. One afternoon, he asked if he could take her wheelchair to his shop. Emily agreed, curious about what he planned to do. Hours later, Jake returned with adjustments. He had fixed the worn wheels, tightened the bolts, and even added smoother grips. For the first time in months, Emily felt comfortable moving around. She smiled at Jake, and he felt something stir inside him. Jake's help didn't stop there. Whenever Emily struggled with groceries or had a problem with her chair, he was there, lending a hand without being asked. They began to talk more, about her life before the accident, about his childhood fixing cars with his dad. Emily started to open up, sharing her fears and frustrations. Jake listened patiently, never once making her feel weak. Instead, he reminded her of her strength, of the fact that she had survived and still had so much life ahead. For Emily, it was the first time someone truly saw her, not just the wheelchair. What struck Emily most was Jake's sincerity. He wasn't rich or powerful, yet he gave his time freely. He never looked at her with pity, but with admiration for her resilience. Slowly, she began to feel hope again. For the first time since her accident, she laughed freely, even teasing Jake about the grease stains on his shirt. In his presence, the weight of her struggles seemed lighter. Jake, too, found himself looking forward to each meeting. The woman he had once helped in the rain was becoming someone who lit up his world, without even realizing it. One sunny morning, Jake found Emily outside her apartment, struggling to reach something from a high shelf on her porch. Without a word, he stepped in, fetched the item, and smiled at her. Emily chuckled softly, shaking her head. "You always show up at the right time," she said. Jake shrugged, pretending it was nothing, but inside his heart warmed. He wasn't just helping her, he was beginning to care for her in a way he hadn't expected. Their bond was growing stronger, built on simple kindness, respect, and shared moments that meant more than either of them realized. A few weeks later, Jake introduced Emily to the garage. At first she hesitated, unsure of how she could fit in. But Jake was patient, showing her how to hold tools, letting her watch as he explained engines and gears. She felt alive again, learning something new and being included instead of excluded. One evening, while they laughed over a stubborn bolt that wouldn't loosen, Jake noticed the sparkle in her eyes. He thought to himself that her laughter was worth more than any car he had ever fixed. It was the sound of life returning to her spirit. Emily's confidence grew day by day. With Jake's encouragement, she started physical therapy again, this time with determination she hadn't felt before. He would drive her to her appointments, cheering her on, waiting patiently until she finished. Slowly, small improvements began to show, tiny movements, strength returning. Emily shared every milestone with Jake, who celebrated them as if they were his own victories. He wasn't just fixing her wheelchair anymore. He was helping fix her hope. For the first time since her accident, Emily allowed herself to dream of walking again. Then came the day that changed everything. Months later, Emily invited Jake to the park, asking him to meet her near the fountain. When he arrived, his heart nearly stopped. Emily wasn't sitting in her chair. She was standing unsteady but upright, with the help of supportive braces and a cane. Tears filled Jake's eyes as she took small, shaky steps toward him. "I wanted you to be the first to see," she whispered, her voice trembling. Jake's hands shook as he reached out to steady her, overwhelmed by the miracle before him. Not long after, Emily disappeared for a few weeks. Jake worried, thinking perhaps she had needed more therapy or had gone away to rest. Then one morning, as he worked in his garage, the sound of a helicopter roared overhead. He stepped outside, shielding his eyes, and watched as it landed nearby. From it stepped Emily, dressed with newfound confidence, walking more strongly than before. She ran into his arms. Jake couldn't believe it. The woman he had helped in the rain had returned, not as someone broken, but as someone reborn. And she chose to share her new life with him.